take a look at his controversial recommendations for rulers. And we will discover how sometimes being a good person and being a good leader are simply incompatible. At various points in this video, you might find yourself becoming offended or outraged at his suggestions, and that is absolutely fine. But I encourage you to stick it out to the end. Because, despite what you've been told, Machiavelli is not a manifestation of the Antichrist, but a deeply complex philosopher and politician who has a surprising amount to teach us about the nature of power, government, and when being moral can do far more harm than good. But why should we listen to this guy? And who even is he? These are excellent questions. And so, let's take a brief look at what has made Machiavelli a household name in political philosophy, and the experiences which shaped his ideas. But if you're concerned about how politics and power affect your newsfeed, then I recommend today's very kind sponsor, Ground News. Ground News is a website and app that gathers related articles from thousands of sources around the world in one place, so you can compare how different outlets cover the same story. Each story comes with a clear breakdown of the political bias, factuality, ownership, and headlines of the reporting sources, with ratings backed by independent news monitoring organizations. Ground News are very kindly offering anyone who uses my link or scans my QR code 40% off their Vantage plan as a special deal, so I highly encourage you to smash it. For instance, let's see how the left and right-wing publications differed on the recent report that the US economy grew by an annual rate of 2.3% in the last quarter of 2024. While the right was enthusiastic, emphasizing how consumer spending had risen considerably, left-wing sources were much less optimistic, suggesting growth is likely to slow in the first quarter of 2025. I especially like the blind spot, which highlights stories that are disproportionately covered by the left or the right. This field helps readers step into the other side's news reality and understand the different narratives that can shape their beliefs, such as left-wing news sources missing the accusations that the Chicago mayor has mishandled gifts, or right-wing sources not covering the fallout from Trump's temporary freeze of a large amount of public spending. I don't have a lot of time to keep up with the news, and certainly not to examine every article I read for bias. So Ground News is fantastic for giving me an idea of the differences in reporting on different stories, so that I can get a variety of views rather than just remaining stuck in my echo. Ground News is very kindly giving my viewers 40% off their unlimited access Vantage plan, so please do check it out. I think Ground News is doing very important work, and I'm very happy to have them sponsor. Anyway, back to the video. 1. Machiavelli, a political life. Niccolo di Bernardo de Machiavelli, born in 1469 in Florence, Italy, was a man of many talents. He was, at times, a playwright, a diplomat, a historian, and a lover of the ancient world. He is also one of the most influential political thinkers of all time. Given such a rich life, I can't possibly cover it all here, so I'll give a sort of potted biography as is relevant to the work we'll be looking at today. The Machiavelli family was an old one, originating in Giogoli, just outside Florence. Machiavelli's parents were not extraordinarily wealthy and went through periods of serious financial hardship. Nonetheless, his father, Bernardo, was an avid reader, displaying particular enthusiasm for ancient Greek and Roman works like that of Cicero and Aristotle, a trait that he would come to share with his son. Bernardo insisted on providing Niccolo with an intensive education, schooling him in Latin and the classics, as befitted an Italian gentleman. Niccolo read the ancient Roman historian Titus Livy's History of Rome in his early years, and Machiavelli's discourses on Livy would later become one of his most important works. During his education, Niccolo was also exposed to the much harsher elements of human nature, as one of his teachers, Paolo Sassi, abused the young Niccolo, along with many of his other students. Due to some very complicated political shenanigans involving a priest briefly taking over Florence and then being executed for it, Machiavelli ended up appointed second chancellor to the Council of War and Diplomacy in 1498. This was his big break, and it catapulted him to a prominent position in the Florentine state. Over the course of the next few years, he would get his thorough instruction in matters of government. He would oversee military operations, become intimately involved in state bureaucracy and even serve as a diplomat to the Kingdom of France. This experience in hands-on ruling would inform much of his later works. He saw periods of political chaos, success in war, and the best and worst of government advisors. It was also here he formed his famous opinion that you should either crush your enemies completely, ensuring that they never rise to bother you again, or invite them into the fold and make them your friends, but never choose the middle path and let them remain a threat. During his time in government, he witnessed how brutal statesmanship can sometimes really pay off. He observed the military and political career of one Cesare Borgia, who had a string of victories at his back and seemed poised to become the Caesar of Renaissance. One of Machiavelli's first political works is directly about Borgia and his success in one of his campaigns. But he also saw Cesare Borgia fall from power, partly because of his own character. Machiavelli's observations of Borgia are thought to have heavily influenced his infamous work, The Prince, which gave advice to absolute rulers on how they should run their states and maintain their power. It was also in his service to the Florentine Republic that he came to love and admire republican government. This would remain a passion of Machiavelli's, and he served his republic faithfully and loyally. His deep respect for republicanism would inspire the Discourses of Liberty, which is, in my opinion, his greatest work. This was an analysis of how republics rise, fall, and maintain their influence, as well as the many potential advantages they have over more authoritarian states. It drew upon the history of Rome, as well as many other nations, to demonstrate how republics truly could hold their own against the mighty kingdoms of Europe if only they were organized correctly and had skilled leaders at their help. This work would later go on to influence Enlightenment philosophers like Rousseau. Through this, it had a hand in the real-world rise of the European republics, and has arguably shaped how many governments in the West operate today, albeit in a pretty roundabout way. He was one of the first thinkers in early modern Europe to defend republics not just on some moral basis, but because they have the potential to work much more efficiently and effectively than autocratic states. However, this success was not to last. The old rulers of Florence, the Medici family, managed to seize control of the city again in 1512 and 1513, marking an end to the Republic and to Machiavelli's political career. He was captured, tortured, and exiled from the city. And it was in exile that he wrote his most famous works, including The Prince, The Discourses, and The Art of War, which was a detailed study into how to win wars or other armed conflicts. He openly bemoaned his fate, hating that he could no longer take part in his beloved Florence, and that it had fallen from a hopeful republic to a principality once more. Nonetheless, he also hoped to worm his way back into politics, and so wrote The Prince, addressed directly to the new ruler, Lorenzo de' Medici, to ingratiate himself with this regime. However, it would be many years before he found any luck there. Eventually, in 1520 or thereabouts, he was commissioned to write a history of Florence by the Medicis, which he completed over the course of a few years. We see Machiavelli's practical nature. On the one hand, he was no fan of Medici rule, but on the other, he needed to paint them in a somewhat favorable light if he were to ever find favor in his home state again. His advice was also occasionally sought out by Medici family members during this period because of his renowned expertise in statecraft. Admirably, he often stuck to his guns in these sessions and recommended that they simply restore the old republic. These efforts to ingratiate himself with the Medicis did pay off a little bit. And in 1526, he was given an official position in Florence overseeing some of the city's defenses. However, this was short-lived. The Medici were once again overthrown, and since Machiavelli had found some small inroad with them, he was denied a post in the new republic, and sadly, he died the following month. This new Florentine Republic also did not last long, and the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V would restore the Medicis to rule just a few years later.
The right heroes could make all the difference.
The channeling of so many women of
I was born to change humanity for the better. That time has come.
Force boost!
They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
Be strong together. It must be hard fighting to protect a world that hates and fears you.
I imagine it's equally difficult fighting for a world that hangs on your every move.
How so?
They want us to make mistakes. And when we do, everyone is watching. And they're ready to tear us down.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1! You have to stop them from securing the mission area.
Quantum match to me, my X-Men. Anyone else? Thanks for the food.
Make it!
I require some aid. The cosmos heals you. Feeling better already.
Your attention, please. For once, I'm vulnerable.
Hey! Jump over here!
A nice deep freeze. I was worried.
You think you can harm me?
See them?
Quantum magic.
I'm help. Make it!
Time I need healing. Quantum magic. Cosmic might return. You are not alone.
Behold the God of Thunder!
I am ready to put on a show!
That should make a difference.
You are nothing!
Destiny awaits.
Born again!
Extra shielding! They'll have to hit harder.
Cosmic might return.
Make it!
Second chance is over.
You get a weapon! You get a weapon! You get a weapon!
I require some aid. The cosmos heals you. They're in a blind spot.
I like the cold.
The cosmos heals you.
Feeling better already.
Let
the devil
alone. They're in a blind spot. Some assistance, please.
power.
I am ready to put on a show!
The moon haunts you!
Healing power.
Don't give him any ground.
From the start.
The universe has a great plan.
Moonlight Clip,
We need to stop that vehicle in its tracks.
Born again!
Some assistance, please. Second chance is over.
I'm hit! Cover me!
Hey! Love over here! The cosmos.
Better stop that vehicle!
Now, a disappearing act. I like the cold. Feeling stronger already. It's the grand finale! I'm hit! Cover me under my
My face!
Goodbye.
You get away with it! You get away with it! You get away!
Armed and dangerous! Again!
That did the trick. Feeling stronger already. Reset the stage. I like the cold. My shields are down. Goodbye. For
Only 60 seconds left.
I'm hit. Cover me. I suck. My work here is now a disappearing act. Kobe unleashed!
Down to 30 seconds.
Feeling stronger already.
to the floor show. Joining me now live, Star Trader John Najarian of Market Rebellion. Okay, John, so some profit taking today. Is that what you said?
Pick your hero or villain.
It's
I'm not
profit-taking,
judging.
Liz, but it's also because of the story you just ran on Meta. I mean, if Meta's going to be providing excess compute to anybody who needs it, anybody who can pay them the price, that means less purchased by people, for instance, CoreWeave or NBIS.
I will bring peace to this universe, no matter the cost.
And to a certain extent, Micron. Does it mean they're done? No. But does it mean that because of the big spend that you report every day, that Meta and the hyperscalers are spending, $750 billion over the next couple of years.
I was born to change humanity for the better.
What they need to
That
be
time.
30 seconds before you attack.
If they
Get
have
ready.
extra right now, why not sell some of that off? And that would slow
Look at you,
the growth
golden
of some of
boy.
those stocks
You
that I
look
just
like I'd
mentioned.
steal
So,
from a museum.
do I think it's
Taking that which
profit-taking
does
event?
not
A little
belong
bit
to
of that,
you hardly
but I think
seems
it's
like a
mainly
fulfilling
based on
existence.
what Meta's doing right now, which is probably only a very short-term event, perhaps just like a profit-taking event.
The only jewel
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let me give them to our viewers.
All you need to do is capture the mission area.
And
Got it?
Intel. Huge bumps for
Can't even
these
reckon
names.
what
And if you look
Easy.
at SanDisk, 755% jump if you bought it.
Quantum magic.
Micron up 268%, Intel up 248. Are they going to continue to gain those
Cosmos heals even. Ooh, that felt nice.
Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now.
Story is not all of those names that you mentioned are part of the data center story. So when you are talking about Anthropic, OpenAI, any of the AI
Capture the mission area.
and Supercell, you're looking at very people that are rather consumers of both power and consumers of a lot of those things like chips. Security for these data centers, Liz, is going to be massive. And I think
Magneto
that's
raised
where
me
you
to
want
never
have
stop
some,
fighting for
if
what
not,
I believe is
I'm
right.
never going to say all of it, but a significant portion of what we have to weeks ago talking about this, where the protection from the hacking that will go up, whether it's a wallet or whether it's a data center, or whether it's the military or the anything that people would want to hack into, either steal or to get data.
Your team's capture progress has passed the halfway point.
They might not be able to break it yet, but once they get it,
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
and yeah, I think that's where we want to be. The security companies, I think, are the next really big move.
So some quantum names is what you're basically.
I won't make the
focused on.
same mistakes again.
So let me just ask you, because you brought up XAI, and you brought up Elon Musk. Of course, that is now part of SpaceX. SpaceX is down.
Feeling stronger already.
Just who Gambit
They've almost got it.
Counted down. I want to say month to date. Well,
Play hitting real hot systems, please.
yeah. Since it IPO, it's down 1%. So I guess the question at an outperform, that's not helping it at all. So Wedbush's voice and Dan Ives' voice, which
Rise,
has been enough to give some stocks a pop, is not working here. They got a $190 price target. SpaceX is at $157. Please keep in mind, the IPO price was way lower. And so, what about SpaceX? There was some breaking news today.
There is no reason
Wall
to be
Street
afraid
Journal
of
says
my
that
magic.
Elon's put
Unless you
forth
give
through
me one.
SpaceX a phone, some type of prototype of a SpaceX AI phone that some people have seen at this point. Does that really
30
give
seconds before you attack. Get ready.
It may. I mean, I think it's got plenty of juice on it.
I smell a familiar hint of divinity on you, mortal.
That be Khonshu, god of the moon, and of vengeance.
just a few years later. Machiavelli lived an incredibly varied existence. He saw the highs and lows of political power, touched upon every aspect of government, from foreign affairs to domestic matters to military strategy. And yet, he also died with his key ambitions for a mighty Florentine Republic and a unified Italy far from fulfilled. The circumstances of Machiavelli's writings raise an important difficulty when studying. With the exception of the discourses on Livy, his major works tended to have highly mixed motivations, which make it difficult to assess just how much they reflect his private personal views. The Prince was partly a bid to return to Florentine political life under the Medicis, while the History of Florence was directly commissioned by that same family. And although it's clear that Machiavelli attempts to remain intellectually honest, it is also primarily a historical work and is not as outwardly argumentative as The Prince or the Discourses. The Art of War is also much more concerned with the minutiae of military planning than his other works, and it has far fewer broader ideas about politics. Thus, when comparing the different sources in this video, I will weigh what Machiavelli says in the Discourses higher than any of his other works. I'll also be drawing extensively from The Prince, especially when it's consistent with the advice he gives elsewhere. I'll be using the History of Florence and the Art of War a bit more sparingly, just because they're less explicitly relevant to his philosophical view. I wanted to open with this section on Machiavelli's life because I think it demonstrates two very important points. Firstly, Machiavelli is not an armchair theorist. His ideas are based on his many years of experience in government, as well as his extensive study of other political theorists and the histories of states like Rome, Sparta, France, and of course, his home city of Florence. And secondly, his life contextualizes some of his more vicious pragmatism. Having seen city-states, including his own, rise, fall, be conquered, and be liberated in his lifetime, this understandably colors his views on the world. Machiavelli does not just provide us with political theory, but political theory shaped by the most extreme and desperate of circumstances. In such a brutal situation, he truly thought you could not ignore what works and you could not argue with results. It is high-stakes philosophy, the best kind of philosophy. And with all of this out of the way, I want to begin with Machiavelli's views on human nature, because I think it provides the basis for much of his other thinking, and it is eminently practical for us, considering that we too are inescapably human. 2. Human Nature, a story in two parts. Since the dawn of civilization, we have been asking, what are humans like? On the face of it, this is such a wonderfully strange question because we all have first-hand experience of what it's like to be a human, so wouldn't we already know? Of course, the implicit framing of this question is normally, what are other people like? Or how can I expect the average human to behave, particularly with regards to me? Questions like this have been understandably criticized as pigeonholing what it means to be a person. There is so much rich variety between individual people that to give a complete theory of what everyone is like seems extremely ambitious. Critiques like this have only intensified in recent years as landmark psychological studies just fail to be replicated. And, considering the time period in which he lived, Machiavelli had an incredibly nuanced idea of human nature and human motivation that balances the needs of a political leader with recognizing how extraordinarily different people can be. On the one hand, Machiavelli shies away from creating a unified, universal view on human nature. This is evident both at the individual level and between societies. In The Prince and the Discourses on Livy, he talks about the varied temperaments between leaders. For example, he draws a distinction between warlike rulers like Romulus, the founder of Rome, and more administratively skilled leaders like his successor Numa. Rather than devoting himself to martial skill or territorial expansion, Numa focused on solidifying matters at home. He established the Roman state religion and instructed the populace in vital ways. Machiavelli also notes the important differences between both peoples and their cultures.
Pick your hero. Or villain. I'm not judging.
My question is, what does this listening posture look like over time? And with your knowledge of personal psychology, I think we can all say we've somewhere encountered one of those relationships where one person does all the work and the other person can't engage in this, even if they have been listened to over and over and over again. But at our society level, if that does happen, now let's try it. I totally agree with you. Let's listen.
I was born to change humanity for the
wind
better.
up in this,
That time has come.
it's always listening and it never turns into listening back.
30 seconds before you attack.
Right.
Get ready.
What's that look like over time?
You do test for reciprocity.
A kumiho.
So children, for example, when children are investigating potential play partners on the playground, they'll come up to a
Even
child,
my
let's
cosmic
assume
might
a
may
child
not
of
be
roughly the
enough
same
to
age, because
save
that would be
this
the most common
universe.
situation. Maybe we're talking about kids who are 4 or 5 years old. And they'll throw out a play gesture
The battle starts in
that's
5,
rather simple,
4,
so maybe that a 2-year-old
3,
could manage.
2,
And then if the person
1.
manages a proper response, then they
All
throw
you
out a
need to
little
do
more
is capture the
sophisticated
mission
gesture.
area.
And if the
Got it?
person responds appropriately, then they
To me,
ratchet up
like
to
X-Men.
just above their developmental
anyone else who
level,
wants to
and then
pitch
they
in.
play like that at that level, and that'll make them friends. And so partly what they're testing for there continually is whether there's something approximating reciprocal altruism. It's tit for tat in the positive sense. And I would say that, well, we know there's actually literature on it, which is quite good. There's also something very practical. So we're having psychologists who've done empirical investigations into what predicts the longevity of a relationship. And so here's one experiment that was conducted multiple times. I believe this is very reliable data. So imagine you have the two partners in a marriage, each rate the number of encounters they have with their other partner. Kind of an arbitrary subjective measure, but it doesn't matter. You might say, well, I talked to my wife 8 times today. We had 8 different interactions. And then you'd say, well, did you rate those for whether they're positive or negative? And then you can calculate a ratio of positive to negative. And then you can use the ratio to predict the longevity of the relationship. And the data show that if the relationship interactions fall below 5 positive to 1 negative, then the relationship deteriorates and is generally doomed. And so 5 to 1 is preponderance of positive interactions, but we're wired so that negative interactions hurt us more than positive interactions help us if they are of the same magnitude. So for example, people will work harder to avoid a loss of $5 than they will to attain a gain of $5. And you might say, well, why is that? And the answer is that you can be absolutely dead, but there's only so happy you can be. And so it's fair to err on the side of conservatism in the domain of negative emotions. And so, but, interestingly enough, if the interactions rise so that they exceed 11 positives to 1 negative, the relationship also deteriorates. And so what that suggests is that there's some, it's sort of like smiles with teeth, right? You want a fair bit of positive emotion and reflection from your partner, but you don't want them to be a naive, dependent pushover who's afraid to stand up for themselves. And so you want to, because you're a nasty, horrible human being, and now and then you poke your partner just to see if there's anything there, because that's what you like, and if you find out there isn't, you'll run roughshod over them. You think you won't, but you will, especially if they're very good at explicitly encouraging you, which tendency sometimes are. So you do assess for reciprocity.
Keep going.
And the basic rule is
Don't mess with
you
the
want
amazing Spider-Man!
approximately equal reciprocity in relationships that you want to maintain. Now maybe, you have enough additional resource to be the giver more often than the receiver in some relationships, but I don't even think that really works that well with children. You obviously have to take care of them, but it's not like they don't deliver the goods to you if you have a good relationship with them. And you want to some degree to enforce that reciprocity.
I am ready to put on a show!
Well, I give you a practical piece of a suggestion on that. And this is another thing you can do in your house. This is so weird. Your life will get so much better. You can't believe it. Is watch the people around you, and whenever they do anything that you would like to see repeated on a regular basis, tell them exactly what they did in detail with obviously, and just indicate that you notice. And because I saw this when I was grading student essays, you know, and so I taught the seminar for a long time and teach kids how to write. They were in their 4th year of university in the honors psych program. You'd think they'd bloody well already know how to write, but they didn't. And so I'd have them write a 4-page essay on a given topic, and then they had to rewrite that to a 6-page essay, and then they had to rewrite that to an 8-page essay. And
I wouldn't know
the
the
first
real
essay
power of
I
the light
graded,
force.
it was only 5% of their grade, and I told them, I'm going to cut you into ribbons, but it doesn't matter because it's 5% of your grade, and so they could tolerate that. And generally, by the 3rd essay, they had written the best thing they'd ever written in their life, and they learned so fast it was unbelievable. But one of the things I noticed was that they did a little testing with the first essay. They'd hand in something that was just formulaic, boring. They weren't in it at all. You know, there was nothing of the person in there. There was no thought. There was just the kind of psychobabble that they'd learned, especially if they were in faculties of education. And it was dry and dull, and everything about it was wrong. And so those are hard to
All you need to do is capture the mission area.
The words aren't right. The phrases, they're not so good. They're not organized well into sentences. The sentences aren't sequenced well in the paragraph. The paragraphs don't coherent argument, and the entire thing is empty. But other than that, no problem. It was often easier just to rewrite those essays than to grade them. So in any case, though, one of the things I did learn was that even in an essay like that, there was usually like 1 sentence or 2 sentences buried on like page 3 that was an actual thought and reasonably clearly stated and somewhat gripping. You know? It was like the person popped out from all the background rubbish and said, "Lights out." And if you saw that and checked it and said, "Hey, you hit the mark right there," the next essay would be like 2/3 of that. That was really fun to see. And then maybe by the 3rd essay, it was all like that. And then they were really thrilled. Like, how I wrote this, you know. Sort of culmination. It was a 4th year seminar. It was the culmination of their careers as like all the undergraduates. That was great fun. But you can do that in your own household.
Everybody needs a hand sometimes.
If the envious part of you isn't jealous of the revelation of the goodness of the person. And so here's the opposite tack, if you want to do this. So imagine that you're a man who's managed to attract a mate, and he believes he's punched above his weight. So this woman is more attractive, let's say, more vivacious, more desirable than he deserves. So that's going to grate on his soul a fair bit, partly because her shining casts a dim light on his
Spider-Man!
lack of utility, let's say. And so you can imagine someone like that being prone to jealousy for obvious reasons. And so the best tack to managing a situation like that, if you're that man, is to wait till your wife dresses herself up in a particularly attractive manner, and then either fail to notice by occupying yourself with something trivial while she's attempting to receive your attention, or by criticizing her directly for what she actually managed to do. And if you do that 50 for the rest of their life, including you, and you'll get exactly what you deserve.
My time to shine.
So that's the opposite of watching people carefully. Now, I learned this in part from Skinner, B.F. Skinner, the famous feminine behaviorist. He used all sorts of reinforcement contingencies to shape animal behavior. Skinner was unbelievably good at this. He trained pigeons in World War II to guide missiles by pecking at photographs. So they could map the photographs onto the missile's trajectory, viewing the territory underneath, and peck accurately enough to guide the missile to its destination. That was just continued as the technology to guide the missile developed. To do that, you think they're smarter than you think. That's why they can live in cities. That's not easy for a bird to pull off. You know? It's not their natural habitat. And so, but Skinner, although he would use punishment, technically speaking, which is the application of a certain amount of pain, or threat, which is the use of anxiety, but what he believed was most effective was reward. But it required a tremendous amount of attention. So, for example, if Skinner was trying to train a rat to climb up a little ladder and then across the ladder and then maybe do a pirouette and come down. He could do it, no problem.
I am ready to put on a show!
And then when it gets close to the ladder, he gives a food pellet. This rap's got starved by
Mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
pretty figures and look for food. Appreciate the methodology with the paper. Well, and that's not a critique of Skinner. It's just an indication of how simplification takes place in that experiment. In any case, he'd wait for the rat to get near the ladder and give it a food pellet. And soon the rat would be hanging around the ladder quite a lot. And then now and then, just more or less randomly, the rat would put a paw up on the ladder. Food pellet. Well, then the rat would hang around the bottom of the ladder with a paw. Continue through observation. He could get the rat.
Nowhere yet. Going to overtime!
Imagine the rat to do, and then couldn't imagine. This isn't a manipulative technique, by the way, although it can be used that way. It's not effective unless you do it with a certain degree of wisdom. You want to think, well, what do you want in your house? How about peace, tranquility, happiness, and goodness? Something like that. It's not a bad first pass approximation. And you got to get that in your head. It's like, do you want that, or do you want the delights of endless martyrdom? Because you have to make a choice, and you might think, I wouldn't pick martyrdom. It's like, really? Really? You wouldn't, eh? You'd pick peace and happiness and humor, and so everywhere you go, that's all you're ever surrounded with. It's like highly improbable. So don't be so sure you're aiming up. But if you can orient yourself in that direction, and then carefully, and knowing full well what the hellish alternative is, because you need to know that, then you can watch and see,
not so crazy about symbiotes
when is this manifesting itself in the people around me. And then you can tell them in detail, I noticed, son, I noticed today you're having a discussion at dinner, you know, and you made a spectacularly witty remark right at the right time. And it was provocative, but not annoying. And so, good work. And then,
3,
oh my God,
2,
1. And then he's like twice as funny the next day. Maybe not in some unbearable manner. And that really works. It really works. But like I said, you have to quell the envy that would otherwise beset you, and you have to want to aim up, and then you have to not be jealous of the other person's goodness, and you have to be extremely attentive. But man, as a transformation technique, even in extraordinarily difficult relationships, which goes back to your point, there isn't anything I know of that's more effective. And I've been working with moderate Democrats in the United States, and with a number of Republicans, suggesting that to the Democrats that when the Republicans do something that isn't absolutely malevolent and stupid, in your opinion, you might want to just say something. Like, that's not as bad as it could have been, you know? Something at least. And the same for the Republicans in relationship to the Democrats, and that because it's also one of the ways that you can reduce the tit-for-tat proclivity, right? You want to give the devil his due, especially when you're not actually talking to the devil, but just the person who's sitting across you, let's say in the house. It's unbelievable. And people, that's another issue. I mean, if you want people to appreciate having you around, learning how to listen, that is a skill that is absolutely unbeatable. And this technique of summarizing today's satisfaction, that was like not, you know, you might be a little off when you first try it. You might feel a little nippy because you're not too good at it, but if you get expert at it, and you have the greatest conversations with everyone. You know, I had people in my clinical practice who were extraordinarily intellectually and suffering from all sorts of assorted pathologies in addition to that. And if I was listening to them properly, they were as fascinating as anybody I had on the more able and competent end of the spectrum. And you learn so much because there is nothing that people won't tell you if you listen. It is absolutely amazing what people will tell you, and so quickly they'll reveal things they didn't even know about themselves. And they need to know those things. You didn't for years. It's so rewarding. And then it's useful, attentive, reward. That's also.
Amazing Spider-Man!
Watching it. I'll just wait. This is going to do something good sooner or later. Good work. And people are so thrilled with that little manifestation of goodness in their heart that managed to sneak out past their cynicism and boredom was recognized. They're so what is this? Restores their faith in what's good inside them. It
Nowhere
really
yet.
does.
Going to
Unbelievably
overtime.
powerful. So that can work if you're embroiled in a difficult relationship, you know, and you can't escape easily, or maybe you can't escape on moral grounds. That listening, that helps a lot. You might have to listen a lot, but that use of judicial reward is powerful stuff.
You get a weapon! You get a weapon! You get a weapon!
Control seized.
The Nine-Tails end you! A fox enters,
John 5, 1
enemies
to 18.
scatter.
After this, there came a festival day of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, near the sheep gate, there's a pool, which in Hebrew is called Bethesda, and around which there are 5 covered porticos. In these lay a multitude of invalids, the blind, the lame, and the paralyzed, and they waited for the moving of the waters. From time to time, an angel would go down into the pool and stir up the water. Whoever stepped first into the pool after each such troubling would be cured of whatever disease he had.
Behold, that child!
38 years. Jesus saw lying
This is real firepower!
Sir, I have no one to pool. The water is troubled. And while I am trying to get there, another steps in before me. Jesus said to him, "Stand up, take up your pallet, and walk." At once the man was healed and took up his pallet and walked. But that day was the Sabbath.
Keep going.
So the religious leaders among the Jews said to the man who had been cured, "It is the Sabbath. It is not lawful for you to carry your pallet this day." But he answered them, "The man who made me well said to me, 'Take up your pallet and walk.'" They asked him, "Who is this person who told you to take it up and walk to work?" But the man who had been healed did not believe in Jesus and slipped away. Afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, "See, you are well again. Sin no more, so that nothing worse may come upon you." The man went away and told the authorities that it was Jesus who had healed him. Therefore, they began to persecute Jesus because he did these things on the Sabbath. Jesus answered them, "My Father is always at work, even until this very day, and I too am working." And this was why the leaders sought all the more to find a way to destroy him, because he not only broke the Sabbath, but called God his Father, making himself equal with God. Okay, another example. This is a variant of the same idea. And these are all pointing to the notion that there's a mode of ethical being that transcends mere acquiescence to the rigid system of rules. This is Matthew 12, 1 to 8. One Sabbath, Jesus was going through the grain fields. As they walked along, his disciples became hungry and began to pluck some heads of grain, rubbing off the husks in their hands and eating the kernels. Some Pharisees saw this. They said to him, "Look, why are your disciples doing what is not lawful," working again, "to do on the Sabbath?" And Jesus said to them, "Have you never read what David did when he and his companions were in need and hungry? He entered the house of God in the days when Abiathar was high priest and ate the consecrated bread, which it is not lawful for any but the priests to eat, and also gave some of it to his companions. Or have you not read in the law how on every Sabbath the priests in the temple violate the Sabbath and yet are guiltless? And I tell you, something greater than the temple is here. So if you had known what these words mean, 'I desire mercy and not sacrifices,' you would not have condemned the innocent." And he said to them, it's a very famous line, "The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. And so the Son of Man, the essence of man, is Lord even of the Sabbath." Here's another one. On another Sabbath, when Jesus entered the synagogue and taught, a man was there whose right hand was withered. The scribes and the Pharisees were looking for a reason to accuse Jesus. And so they asked him, "Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath?" And they watched him closely to see if he would do that thing. But Jesus knew their thoughts and said to them, "What man among you, if he has a sheep and it falls into a pit on the Sabbath day, will not lay hold of it and lift it out? And of how much more value is a man than a sheep? So it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath." Then he said to the man who had the withered hand, "Come up and stand before everyone." The man rose and came forward. And Jesus said to the Pharisees, "I ask you, which is lawful on the Sabbath, to do good or to do harm, to save life or to destroy it?" But they were silent. He looked around at all of them with anger, grieved at their hardness of heart, and said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." The man stretched it out, and his hand was restored as sound as the other. But the Pharisees, the religious hypocrites, were filled with fury and went out and discussed what they might do to Jesus, and immediately began to conspire with the men around Herod about how to destroy him. You can see his fate starting to unfold under these circumstances. So, all right, so...
I'd like to
Dennis.
explain.
Dennis.
Yeah, this might be my longest comment of the entire seminar. So, first, it is important that non-Jews understand that according to Jewish law, since it was created, you're not only allowed to violate the Sabbath to save a life, you are obligated to.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall. We have recently learned that Volkswagen is totally fine and there's nothing to see here. The strategic brilliance, the incredible execution of this extremely competent, agile, adaptable, innovative, lean, efficient, resourceful company has put them in a wonderful position to navigate the rest of this decade and beyond.
What do we know about these reported VW job cuts then?
For some weeks, the CEO of Volkswagen, Oliver Blume, has been very much emphasizing how the business model for VW essentially wasn't working anymore.
Quite an admission from the leader of a company to admit your business model is no longer working. This news, by the way, if you guys haven't seen, VW could cut up to 100,000 jobs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is a lot of zeros. I, for one, am completely shocked by this news. I definitely didn't see it coming. In fact, I am so surprised that the CEO, the leader of the company, would admit on the record that their business model wasn't working and now be looking at taking extremely drastic action in an attempt to prevent the inevitable. I mean, no one could possibly have seen this coming, right? VW, smart company, big company, very dominant, depending on the year, either the best or second best selling automotive company by number of units sold globally. It's not like there were any early warning signs, any red flags, any major obvious changes that needed to occur. Otherwise, surely there'd be many people on the record, analysts, experts, commentators, even mid-wit content creators who would have been calling it from a mile away. So let's get back to this extremely unpredictable, utterly shocking bombshell news that VW believes their business model is cooked and they're in big trouble.
Which is to develop and build cars in Europe, in Germany, for export worldwide. The factors behind that are multiple ones. So on the one hand, the Chinese market, which is VW's biggest, is in decline. Local manufacturers there are taking over a lot of the buying appetite. And
just to be clear, the Chinese automotive market itself is not in decline. It's also, by the way, the world's leading electric vehicle market. Apart from a few anomalies with sovereign wealth funds that massively incentivize people to buy electric vehicles years ago, China is the most mature EV market in terms of percent of vehicles sold going fully electric, and the CCP wants something to get it. It's also a leading indicator of where the rest of the world is heading in a few years. Look to China. Look to EV adoption in China. That's an insight into the future around the rest of the planet. VW has simply, apparently, shockingly, only recently discovered that consumers in China, the most mature EV market, again an insight of where the rest of the planet is headed, don't actually want to continue to buy high volumes of the horse and buggy, when instead there's a much better technology, the electric vehicle, they can buy instead. The VW plan was to continue selling internal combustion engine vehicles, many meaningful volumes in China, in the second half of the 2020s and beyond, and that would have been an all-time strategic blunder. Of course, Volkswagen is a very smart, intelligent, innovative company, so they obviously realized, based on all the historical data going back a decade plus, EV adoption is going to accelerate and China would be a leading indicator of the rest of the world. Therefore, if they wanted to continue to sell high volumes of vehicles in China, they would need to make compelling, affordable electric vehicles, which is exactly what they well, that's good. I mean, not good at all. No one's possibly seen that coming. I think that you may have heard people saying VW is screwed and they need to be all in electric vehicles and they need to remove a massive amounts of complexity in the business. You probably imagined it. Now, it's certainly true there are many very affordable, relatively compelling electric vehicles being produced in China by Chinese automotive manufacturers. And some of these have astonishingly low starting price points, equivalent of around $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 US dollars, some of them a little bit more. And that's a bargain. If you've got a low budget, you can buy a decent vehicle that do the job with decent range, decent features and functions. It's electric. For that kind of price point, you'll be all over it. So essentially, Volkswagen's China business is in free fall. Of course, this isn't their fault at all. There isn't a single non-Chinese automotive manufacturer selling any meaningful volume of vehicles in China. It's all just the local Chinese companies taking up the entire market, right? Well, yeah. if we take everything, and depending on the month or the quarter, Model Y is typically number 1, 2, or just third best-selling vehicle in China for that time period. Not just a electric vehicle, but any kind of vehicle. Which is staggering, given its extremely high starting price relative to many of the Chinese options. Model Y, given its price point, is playing a super hard mode in China, gets still crushing most of the homegrown competition. So it's actually possible for a non-Chinese company to be slaying it in China if they produce a compelling product. So the collapse of Volkswagen in China seems to suggest that they do not yet have a compelling product.
Then in Europe, consumers are also on the back foot, and the company is facing a lot of regulatory burdens. VW, as we know, it's a huge company, and they for many years have been trying to slim down, become more agile, become more efficient.
Trying. Was it Yoda that said do or do not? There is no try. For those who are unaware, the ownership structure of VW or Volkswagen Group, we use the terms interchangeably, don't get mad, is an absolute mess. In terms of voting rights in particular, very important for making decisions and getting stuff done. It is the biggest mess of any large company I am aware of. In addition to retail investors and institutional investors, half of the cause with any publicly traded company having their own say. The dominant controlling shareholder is actually a sub-brand, Porsche. That's like giving the family's pet goldfish the final say in any household matters. And if you thought that was bad, we are not done. We're going to play a fun little game. Don't get mad. Which of Earth's 7 continents is most widely known for bureaucracy? The unequivocal answer to this question is Europe. By the way, fun fact, Europe is the only continent that doesn't end in an A. Kind of wild, actually. You've got Africa, which also starts with an A, Antarctica, which also starts with an A, Asia, which also starts and ends with an A. You have Australia, which also starts and ends with an A. And then you have technically North and South America. South America also starts and ends with an A. Got nothing to do with anything else. Within that continent of Europe, the bureaucratic continent of Earth, which country is most well known for its bureaucracy? And every single German in the audience is screaming, pick me, it's us, it's Germany. Correct. Now, here's the thing about Volkswagen. Not only is Volkswagen based in Germany, the most far and away, by the way, hands down, no contest, bureaucratic country in all of Europe, but this is, bro, you're not going to believe this if you don't already know it. The German state, as in the German government known itself globally for bureaucracy, red tape. Are you ready? Are you sitting down? The German fucking government owns a massive stake in Volkswagen and has voting rights. The most bureaucratic entity, government, in the most bureaucratic country, Germany, in the most bureaucratic continent, Europe, has its say, an ownership stake and a voting stake in Volkswagen. That's like giving your pet goldfish's turds the final say and voting.
I shouldn't, and I'll just deal with the consequences, gets thinner.
She behaves this way, like, this is, there's no... So he made another update video about me. Guys,
I am no gold.
This is the last video on the topic.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
This is his last video.
I will bring peace to this universe. No.
Fries are in the bag twice. I lost everything. My wife did leave me as well. It's over, and I never should have attacked. I never should have said anything about him. I should have attacked his arguments, not him. And that loser tech tone, I should have never, ever talked to that guy. That was a big mistake. Let's have a little chat. I gained nothing from making this video. It's actually
You gain nothing from making all of it. But yeah, this question.
It's a lose-lose situation in almost every situation. content creation on drama isn't because if I respond to drama, I lose. If I don't respond to drama, I lose. And whoever makes the last video for the most part wins, because they can provide context that wasn't there, or they can break down and dismantle arguments that maybe weren't even being made. It's a very tough situation to be in. I most likely don't win.
This is...
Rebirth is a mutant's greatest gift.
You don't win? Like, what are you talking about winning? Who is this guy?
No matter what I say, or no matter what I do, I can't convince you, and I won't ever change your opinion.
So, wait a minute. So now we've already gone through the 5 stages of grief into acceptance. I won't convince you, and I dude.
They are in front of us, idiots.
Oh, wow. He's speedrunning.
My protection.
And this is what he's highlighting. Doug heals, I get it.
You're Dougie, and I get that. If I attack your favorite content creator, and I call him a slime ball, or whatever it is, and mentally ill, whatever it is,
You shall not be harmed.
I understand why you attack and all that stuff. And so I'll at least explain my thought process a little here.
Okay.
And I would attack the arguments a little bit more head-on, instead of being an emotional...
Is that what I
I understand that there's nuance to these things, and people want to argue their points, and it is what it is. But my thing is, when I read this is a very inflammatory comment.
Yeah, you get triggered. You got triggered. You got triggered, and you wanted to defend your life, and so you had to go out there and make a tweet. The tweet didn't go well, so you had to go out there and make a YouTube video. The YouTube video didn't go well, then you had to delete your YouTube channel, and now you're reinstating your YouTube channel after you realized how stupid it was to do that. And now, dude, you got rage. You got... Oh my god.
That is, in my opinion, either rage bait or ignorant or just straight up rude and doesn't need to be said. And that is kind of one of the
If it doesn't need to be said, is it true or not though, right? It's not even all of what he's saying. This is, dude, this is completely feminized language. It's all about feelings and consensus. It's like, how many other people think this? Do you need to say this? How does that make people feel? What about whether it's true? How about whether it's true? Let's talk about that.
Onward.
Canada, I know.
With content creation,
they can't all be like
I'm gonna
this, can they?
bring up the notepad one more time here. I think that most big creators have something wrong with their brain, me included.
He's actually crashing out.
Because there's kind of 2 phases. And you don't like doing what you're doing, then you have to... Your powers are mine! One of the things I was discussing later on in the video about YouTube is, I am set for life. I don't want to play certain games. I'm having trouble making games, so I just have stopped. I make a video here and there, and I've lost. I have this thing in my brain that has been like, I don't know what to do now. And
did I send this guy into a midlife crisis? Over a tweet? This guy sent himself into a midlife... God damn! Like, what the fuck?
But then there's the other side of it, where if you look at other huge streamers, I'm throwing other names, XQC, these people that are set for life. And I'm not saying XQC or Asmongold or TechDome doesn't work or better or whatever it is, but unless you get joy out of making a raid, then it makes my brain question, well, what's the point of it? Like, what?
I'll answer that. I care about laying it the fuck out. I care about telling people the way it is. I care about dispensing with pretense, euphemisms, other forms of soft language, and I lay it out as raw and as cruel as I possibly can, because that's the way the world is. And I really have been totally fucking patronized by soft language, euphemisms, other forms of allegory in order to understand the simple concepts, because people have problems coping with reality. So I say it the way that I think people need to hear it. And I know that. You might disagree. You might say, I don't know say that. But I'm going to say it that way. And that's the reason. And I do enjoy that. I do. And I enjoy watching
By the
people get
eye
mad.
of
This is my
Agamotto!
But like the fact is, I do it because I feel like I have an obligation to living in reality. I want to live in reality. And the internet has engineered a hyper-reality that is a lie. And I want to destroy that. And I destroy it by being as true and being as honest as I possibly can. That's the reason.
What do you gain from saying something like this? Or from these things?
Right.
This whole thing, and I'm talking from both sides. What does Hassan have gained from these things? Like, no one...
Because we care about these topics and we have opinions on them and we want to share our opinions to try to make the world a better place. He and I might disagree on what that better place is, but at the end of the day, we have a motivation because we care about these topics and we feel strongly about them and we make videos about them. That's the reason why. It's actually very simple. Like, you say that you don't have a purpose in life. He does, and I do. Yeah, I know it might be hard for you to understand, but like Hassan works very hard. Like, I wish he worked hard on something that I agreed with, but he still works very hard. I think I work hard. I stream every day. I do things all the time. The fact is that like there's an intrinsic motivation that is inside people like me, Hassan, XQC, you know, other creators like Jinxie, for example, somebody who's totally not related to this, that we enjoy what we do. And it's sad for me to see somebody like this that legitimately can't even comprehend the idea of enjoying what you do. That's what it is.
Twitch is solving everything, bro. No one on Twitch is...
What do you mean?
Becoming a politician, no one is changing policy. It is all performative to make money.
We're trying.
Get that vehicle moving again!
We're trying. Maybe it won't work. That's it. And so, like, I don't know what to say. Coming up with counterexamples is irrelevant. This is he's making an emotional argument. You can't place the person out of a position that he puts himself into. This is not a reasonable position for him to have. You can come up with 50 different reasonable arguments that dispel this. But I can also come up with the fact that your mind bases.
Everyone is getting farmed.
Hands are shaking again.
There's multiple videos made on this. They're going to make some money off of it. I am feeding into the system here.
You are getting farmed right now. At this very moment, you're being farmed. And by the way, this is a long video. I want to let you know that the parts about me that are like very short, like it's only it's actually about me. Everything else is about Tectone. I don't give a shit about his drama with Tectone that had to do with Genshin Impact. Letting you know.
Isn't it money? And I know that's why people do it. And even if the data backs up some of these things, again, it's not like people are going to corporations, they're not going to politicians and actually changing anything. It's just riling people up. And that's not a world that I want to be in. I'm too sorry.
You got riled up. Whoa, whoa, let me miss it.
I don't know if I put it in here, but like riling people up. And that's not a world that I want to be in. I'm too sorry.
We know. You're Canadian. You're Canadian and you play Genshin Impact. Everybody knows. Like, this is not... Yeah, I mean, come on. You didn't... I mean, I appreciate the... I appreciate the self-awareness. I do. Want to match.
I don't know if I put it in here, but I don't want to actually get Trauma Channel cover me. I'm too soft for that. I cried during Lion King. You know, ever since I had kids, I'm a baby. Let's just, if you want, I don't mind. I don't call myself.
Going to overtime!
Alright. I mean, it was kind of fucked up what happened in the Lion
But I will also say, with content like this, and with videos also matters, and context is a really tough thing to nail down and not constructive. So, in this clip, which caused me a little bit too quiet, I don't know why it's so quiet, but Hassan, please put it on the gun. Hassan makes a comment here about the genetic inferior and socioeconomic factors being a problem. And Abdul says they are. Right now, some people instantly want my answers, and they say no. As a result, calling all people that are black.
Nobody actually thinks I did that. They're just saying that so they can get me banned because they can't contend with the argument that I'm making. That's the reason why. Everybody knows it's bullshit. Everybody knows I was talking about the socioeconomic conditions. Obviously, that's what I was talking about. But they can't address that. They can't talk about that because it breaks their reasoning and their worldview. So they have to make up a secondary thing that, I mean, to be fair, I can see why somebody would think that I said that. Yeah, sure. And yeah, I could have maybe worded it better, definitely. But at the end of the day, it wasn't what I meant. Everybody knows that's not what I meant. That wasn't the context of the conversation. It was just thrown out of nowhere. That's it.
And there's multiple comments that are saying this. There's multiple people saying he should be banned instantly. And that's the tough thing because once again...
Just real quick, by the way, let's look at the top comment. I didn't even read any of these.
The right heroes could make all the difference.
Let me see if I can show this.
Be banned instantly, and that's the tough thing because once again, with pausing and instantly, and that's the tough thing because
no.
Comments that are saying this, there's multiple.
Look at this guy. I'm black. He's clearly talking about socioeconomic. You people are such scummy pieces of shit. It's mind-boggling. Even when you control for income, black people commit more crime. LOL, I'm sorry, he doesn't see you as equal. That is an objective fact.
There's always it is an objective fact.
It doesn't mean that somebody isn't equal. Of course they're equal. Are men and women equal? Men commit more crime. Do I think women are better than men? I think that most people on this stream, these same people would be farming me saying that I hate women. That's not the way it is. But he doesn't see you as equal. The only person I don't see as equal is this guy. He's a nasty little subversive rat. Everybody knows this is bullshit.
There's multiple people saying he should be banned instantly, and that's the tough thing because once again, with pausing and context and
I guess I'm on the oppressor, but it's hard.
If someone makes a video clarifying things later, it's
I'd rather oppress losers than black, to be honest. Like I hate them a lot more, right? I mean, all these weird liars, these freaks, these crazy, weird people that like to lie and make shit up about you and then agree with each other. Yeah, they're the ones that I want to oppress. I do my best, okay?
Follow this whole thing. As a result, could very much be agreeing with...
Oh, right, of course. Cool. Is that going to be the clip for tomorrow? This will be taken out of context again.
That he's agreeing with the...
That's good content for me.
Socioeconomic statement because he says it right out. But you can't ever fully know what's going on in someone's brain.
Of course,
and that's the crazy part about all of these political YouTubers is they can also go, what did I mean in that moment? This one, and try to pivot. And you know, he even comes out and says, like, that's not what I was talking about. Yeah. Sorry, I had to find it. Because I was for socioeconomic conditions, not the accusation that it was genetically inferior.
You don't want to say this. You mean the retarded accusation? Dude, I know you're Canadian, but like, you can't even say retarded. You can't even say retarded.
And right, like, there's his stance on it, that's how he feels, and if he does the same thing and he tweets about what he truly meant by this, or he talks about this in stream, or in the video, debunking my video, and adding more context, then it just makes you look bad in the initial video. It's like, well, that's not what he said.
So he's acknowledging that the initial video made him look bad. This is correct. Let's see how well his video, that video's doing. That's my goal of Impact. Impact just went nuclear. So Techno was not over the second video about this. Yeah, this is not XQC. Asmon actually finished on Impact. This is some random. Yeah.
Welcome to the Dark Force dimension.
Oh my god, this is
Us against the world.
How many videos are there about this? Oh my god. Dude, oh my. Wow. So a lot of people, I don't watch these. This is the first time seeing it. Who's I can pull this up? What is this link? What's that?
Garrett never falls!
Hailed as a YouTube creator. And also, like, I mean, you're not a loser entirely. You have a wife and you have a kid, and I think that's incredible. I don't have a wife, so I'm a loser in that regard. But as a creator, you are a loser. You're a failure. And I can show you how you're a failure. So if you look at his graph that we looked at earlier, whenever your submarine graph looks like a submarine, oh sorry, whenever your subscriber graph looks like a submarine, that means that you're losing. That's the way it is. And that's, listen, I mean, like, you have up times and downs, but you clearly failed as a creator. I mean, that's... Watch your head! 939,000 views. That's a lot of views.
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
So I get it. And that is the really tough thing to navigate in all of this is it's very hard. You can't, and I will never, I don't plan to, but I will just clarify my statement is I just personally think shit like this sucks. I think it is super inflammatory and like it just seems like the world is going further and further and further down this way. And I understand viewing it as like a white knight or something.
Yeah, but like, don't you think you do the same? Like, that's fine. You want to have that announced. I think that's a completely fair and completely fine thing to say. There's nothing wrong with him saying that. If you think that I'm being overly aggressive or I'm being mean or something, you're not even entirely wrong. But don't you think that you're doing the exact same thing when you call me a loser and you say that I'm like I'm mentally ill and everything else? Like, I don't think that this person realizes that you engage in the same behavior when you get pushed in a way that makes you uncomfortable.
With virtue signaling, and I get it after my video, brothers, I understand, you know, my ego or whatever getting in the way and making it look like I'm good, they're bad, for sure. Yeah. So I can admit to that. I see where you're coming from. Sniper right there. But I will see, you know, I'm not going to steer away from the stand. I think stuff like this is like so cringe on all sides.
That's fine. You can think that. That's totally okay. But you just can't say it's wrong.
All of this talk is not helping anybody. It is not changing anyone. And it might change the way people vote from maybe impact that down the road, but the actual streamers, they're not going to be fighting for change. They're just fighting and butting heads.
Us against the world!
And they can farm each other endlessly. No matter what, it's community videos, and, you know, I respond, I lose. Because if I talk about this stuff, I'm a cuck. I'm a beta. Lose. Because if I talk about this stuff, I'm a cuck, I'm a beta.
This is, what a good day for me. Honestly, what a great day for me. You have Nina Lin gets arrested. Imtash
Garrett never falls!
acknowledges the truth. I mean, this is, I mean, really, what a big day.
Let's get into some good trouble.
What an incredible day to be me.
Got my eye on some unwelcome guests.
So this has been a video. A lot of people have wanted me to watch this ever since it came out. Obviously, there's been a lot of election stuff, and the big question: why are men moving right? Now, in my opinion, I think the answer to this is
Hello, everyone, and happy one-year anniversary to my male loneliness epidemic. I'm happy to announce that since that video uploaded, the discourse has greatly improved. People all around the world are taking men's issues more seriously.
Well, that stopped after Kamala lost. Yeah, that's over. This was like a video from before the election. That's done.
The gender war has finally come to an end. Just kidding, everything has gotten worse and nobody has learned anything. From the witches on The View cackling about how men are useless.
Do we need men?
Insane, like what? Pick your hero. Or villain, I'm not judging.
And he goes, "Excuse me, miss, can I interest you in this?" I don't know why I looked, but he had it out and it was in like...
A routine stop at a car wash and gas station leaves a woman shaken after a stranger's question leads to an unsettling encounter.
It wasn't just that he like flashed me it was in like a clear plastic tube.
Recently, what? We are Cloak and Dagger. We are hope.
He what?
The following is based on official police records released today, and some of the footage has never been seen before until now. In August 2025, a woman calls 911 to report an incident that occurred just minutes prior at the Cobblestone Auto Spa in Tempe. Officers soon get over to her apartment to take her statement.
I'm no maiden, and it's not for sport.
I just went to the vacuum store. I was just wiping my car down with a towel, and he had already been parked for just a second.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I remember thinking for a second.
All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
Last year I linked this meddling in the time stream never ends well for anyone, and especially him.
Excuse me, miss, can I interest you? I don't know.
Trouble has arrived. Pretty bad over here. Andy needs help. On the way.
The mission area is yours to capture now.
In an interview with a detective a few weeks later, the victim would share a
Good job, team.
she's actual witness on the day of the report.
My time to shine.
Just that he flashed me. Also, like, it was in like a clear plastic tube, which I'm assuming was like because it had a tube coming from the end of it, and then like a pump ball thing that he had in his hand, like when they do your blood pressure.
Everybody needs a hand. My time to shine.
It wasn't just that, but he had that, I guess, like in his car ready to go.
And was he doing anything else with his...
I still need time to stretch.
Anything like that?
No, I think he might have like shaken it a little bit, like from the base. Like when I looked in, like he moved it a little, but it didn't seem like he was like, I don't know, like off or anything.
The ball that led to the
in his right hand.
Capture the area. Keep
His
going.
left hand was at the base. Base like holding it there.
Oh, much better.
Security footage from the Cobblestone car wash. The suspect is seen pulling away.
There's no longer what you legal people cycle. That should make a difference.
Let's take a step back. Hold still. I'm trying to help.
Here comes the hole.
I am the best of life. What a relation.
Us against the world.
Never fall.
She is able to recall some key details.
Very funny way.
And what specifically do you remember off of the area?
No area. Going to overtime.
The stickers on it. He had a sticker on the back that says Chief Stalker, and then he had one on the driver's side and two on the back that say Fight Ready, which was the gym.
After this battle, we should totally data mine this. I require some aid.
I feel better already.
Together.
The vehicle's owner returns his call.
Nowhere yet. Going to overtime.
Talking, probably not happening. It's too locked in.
Who was driving it at the time, just so we can contact them. Okay. Questions. Nobody's in any trouble or anything like that. What's your brother's name?
It would be Joshua Curtis.
And do you have a good phone number for Joshua?
See, this is
tend to love souls, but the shepherd tends to
I actually
flock.
don't. We've actually been trying to locate him for years now as well. These are my half-brothers. Had an abusive other side of the family. So
Not him. The guy on the phone is, it's not him.
30 seconds before you attack.
Yeah, up
Get
until
ready.
COVID, he was living with us in Illinois, and then he
Chat.
just kind of...
If it's the guy on the phone, I'll be impressed. I'll say that I was wrong, and honestly, my radar's off.
left one day and went to Arizona, didn't even tell us.
I can make some
Sent me a picture
adjustments
of
to your visor
welcome to
if you'd like.
Arizona on the
Add
road,
some
and
extra
then there,
safeguards.
I'm trying to transfer
I'll be honest, I'm kind of enjoying it.
I know you can't this is it. I'm just taking my own guess.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
or something.
Yeah, you can.
All you need to do is capture the mission area.
Following his
Got it?
conversation with the original owner of the car, the detective has the victim come back in for a second photo lineup.
A photo lineup.
Now for some assistance, please.
Okay, that's not what I thought was gonna happen.
Judge, jury, executioner!
Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now.
In the meantime, Joshua contacts the detective and they were looking for him.
We provided you a lot of information about over the phone because of the nature of the investigation. But there was something that happened here in Tempe, and based off of some video conferencing we did, I am born anew. You may have witnessed what happened. If you'd be willing to just let us know if you saw or anything like that. I mean, yeah, I'm totally willing. I mean, ideally, I wouldn't like to book up my schedule. I don't remember witnessing anything or
Thanks for the love. Wait!
Decline. Beneficial to you sort of ways, you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, you're just considered a witness.
Very funny, Wade.
You can't, like, force you to say anything or anything like that.
While initially reluctant, Joshua eventually agrees to meet with the detectives. They make their way over to Joshua's apartment to find and chat
Let the devil out!
Cosmic might. You wouldn't say that, my Quantum magic. There you are. Healing
I believe that was Saturday, actually. You remember when you were at that time?
Quantum magic.
Yo, Will, what's up this guy?
While he has denied any part of an incident attempted thus far, the detectives discover
Nowhere yet. Going to overtime.
Cheers, right? Drop set.
Okay. We saw somebody else that was involved with what happened come up to your car and talk to you, it looks like, while you were at the car wash. Pulled into a stall.
I tend to lost souls, like a shepherd tends to his flock.
So it looks like our guy cover car washes. We want to involve people
61 months of being best friends with you feelings. BTW, I had fun at the club with you yesterday.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Person talk to them. And what they told us was that
you're the broad who hunts
they had seen you in the car with a...
Sorry to burst your bubble, but I'm no one's kind of girl.
Got you.
Especially
I got you. Now it's more clear.
You sure?
That would be the reason that
We make
sometimes
it
I would pull.
If you're lucky, I might not let you raid my armory.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
Someone should have stopped Doom a long time ago.
Joshua, now far more forthcoming with information regarding his proclivities, recounts the incident and shares what he believes triggered this behavior.
Some assistance, please. Hostiles up front. Gambit never falls! Judge, jury, executioner!
Capture the mission area!
Born again!
I could not allow a trace of those dogs to survive.
Is it like a form of jerking off?
Couple months. Is there anything that has triggered it or something like that? Like anything in your past, or there have been gas station pills that I found. Okay. And I started trying them.
What? Their team's capture progress has passed the halfway point.
Let's pop back up on the Yo, what's that raw dogging fucking like honey or whatever? But for why?
My healing factor can't keep up.
I'm trying to help.
Thanks for the group.
Stand aside, jump!
That's my way. Feel magneto!
They've almost got
Let
it!
the devil!
But she's not like 15 or anything like that. She's 20. She's 20. Okay. That's the reason I asked, because
I'm opening a portal.
Yeah, just as a SVU and detective, there's things that I have to.
A shortcut through space.
I'm trapped in a situation that I don't want to be in, and I'm ready to go back out into the world, and I'm kind of undeveloped in that area, and maybe the ways that I try to go about it, I'm in the beginning of a
Well, you can't expect to win them all.
What exactly were you doing that morning? Well, creates blood flow to it, creating hardness, bigness. Was it on your? Yeah, it was. Where is the pump now? In my backpack. In that black pack right there.
Check, this guy is just gonna turn me on and did that one thing.
Extra value meals or McValue meals.
You'll need
Only
a
at
top-notch
McDonald's.
team to win this one.
I'm under arrest for homicide?
Correct.
On June 16, 2023, a Minnesota state trooper spotted a black Cadillac Escalade speeding northbound on Interstate 35W at 95 miles per hour in a 55 mile per hour.
Okay, I don't know what this.
Keys got flustered, and it was unintentional. It was a mistake. Nothing was intentional. Okay.
Okay, grab the receipt. Why is she grabbing the bag? Something.
I tend to lost souls, like a shepherd tends to his flock.
Loss Prevention reported that a woman in uniform was acting suspiciously, placing items
30
inside a
seconds
tote
before
and
you
attempting
attack.
to leave
Get
without
ready.
paying. When officers arrived, they immediately recognized her as Sergeant Melissa Ward of the
A deck
White
of
Mountain
cards ain't
Police
exactly the
Department.
deadliest
She
weapons
insisted it was
occasion.
all a mistake,
That
but the
all
cameras
depends
told
on
a
who's
very
deep
different
in the
story.
So,
Sure you don't want to try something
Oh,
little.
she tried to scan a fucking
No,
tomato
let's see.
for fucking
As long
5
as I keep my
TVs.
wits sharp, gambling will be just
I know
fine.
somebody who does that. I know somebody who does that. Actually, hold on.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
Looks like rest and relaxation. Our next step.
Quantum magic. I need healing. Cosmic might return. Healing power. I am at your service. The cosmos heals you.
Okay, fair enough. And then we'll chat down. She's still
Quantum method.
Help get that vehicle to its destination.
We shall restore the light that you're seeking.
Our enemies on the earth.
I feel better already. Healing power.
Good medicine.
I require some aid. This is real firepower!
Okay, so be straight with me. I mean, we all make mistakes.
Born again!
I ended up grabbing one tote and I put some stuff in there, and then I got a phone call. Somebody was letting me know we had a family member.
Oh, fuck off.
Healing power.
Keep going.
You are safe now, my friend.
And then I was going to put the other stuff in that tote from my personal stuff for today. So I couldn't fit the other tote in there. It was too late for one tote. I paid for the tote.
I'm gonna go. Did you see the video already? No. Yeah, I'm gonna go. So the tote you have.
We shall deliver no
This is gonna steal more. She's gonna steal way more than she's gonna roll it up.
quantum magic.
Vehicle reached the checkpoint. Keep up the momentum.
You are safe now, my friend.
Like sneaking through a door.
Fancy seeing you here.
The cosmos heals you.
Still got an edge.
That's it. Don't let anything stand in your way.
But that doesn't explain why she would then try to push out. You said you came here. You're buying for the department. What were you buying for the department? For what?
It's a trunk or treat.
I require some aid.
And you're telling me
Because they were done?
you had a family member die, robbed the keys, got fractured, and it was unintentional. It was a mistake. Nothing was intentional.
Healing power.
Okay. And so,
Bullshit. And you put it 5 for the one. You know that's
I feel better already.
Behold the god of thunder!
Against the world.
okay, so give me a minute. Let me try
Wade is in his element.
Cosmos heals you. Some assistance, please.
That is much better.
Taking it all!
I unleash the Vashon. Still got it.
Now, my friend.
Another epic victory! Big win!
If they want to press charges, they would have to do, like, they would do the judge anyway. All this is the evidence.
Okay. Gotta go look for my keys to get out of here.
Okay. Okay, hang tight. We're just gonna check the video, okay? Yeah, we just want to
They
make
need
sure
to ask them more questions.
clearly refute what she's trying to tell us.
This is like, yeah,
Oh yeah, I mean, I get
she
it.
has to break this because she wants to keep her certification. So, right, so under our criteria, this is
She's already stated
so.
so.
Total score.
Okay. Okay, grabs her receipt. Why is she grabbing a bag?
Can you guys stop making fun of the name Jubilee? That's my wife's brother's cousin's
My man, is she
dog's
planning to
name.
like go try to do returns on the merchandise with the bag? Like, what is the plan here?
The right heroes could make all the difference.
Alright, she's full of it.
Yeah, we're thinking so.
So she picks out a bunch of stuff. She keeps putting one item in the tote, closes the lid. She went to a door hose.
She's probably wasting time and it's gonna.
She leave the cart or attempt to leave the merchandise. She has the tote staged in the cart. She goes up to the self-checkout, takes the receipt, grabs an empty Walmart bag, and then proceeds right past everything.
I will bring peace to this universe, no matter the
Was
cost.
there any candy items? Nope. That doesn't make sense because didn't she came to buy candy for the PD?
Yeah, why would she build a...
Play on her emotions and the trunk or treat. She's lying. One tote, two lids, and then the empty.
I am no golden god. I am simply a man who wishes to use his power for good.
Yes.
They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
Chad, cops are rich, but like, they don't get paid dog shit either. Like, she can afford fucking 4 items of dog food. Like, what the fuck?
I just wish I had
A shield. How nice.
Let us know if anything else. Would you like to trespass on top of this?
that is
It's our first one, so they'll
Battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Is you
We have to stop them from securing the mission area.
wants to continue to lie about it. We also charge her
Got my eye on some unwelcome guests. I am at your service. The Cosmos heals you.
Systems restored.
Yeah, it's all her personal.
Next time, critical
It's better already.
What?
Cosmos heals you.
Wait, he's seen before.
I require some aid.
Got the method down so nice.
We are in this together.
She's done that. Does everything have now? Yeah, now it's dog food, whatever. Like it.
Hey, Ted! Someone clip this!
Disappear!
Still got it.
The Cosmos heals you.
That should make a difference.
You came here because of puppetry and singing. Well, that's what you had with your word and not like that.
We are in this together.
It's really heavy in here.
Chad, there's a very high chance that after this time I'm healing. At their place, that would have gone over the whole thing and they took it off. I mean, 90% plus. Exactly.
Assemble! Boom! No skill shot! That's your release! That's Glortron!
I am at your service. You made me the second champion. Cosmic might returns.
Actually, really quick. They have it on video. Items into a toad. They've been watching it.
Only 60 seconds left.
You look like a shoplifter on the video. I've watched a lot of shoplifters on video. You look like a shoplifter.
Yeah, this guy is schooling me now. He's molding.
Probable cause, right? What's probable? Let me ask you. You have this call right now. Take your profession out of it. What's probable?
Okay, yeah, buddy.
A little protection goes a long way.
Down to 30 seconds.
Still so much to do. This shouldn't divide her vote.
Well, she also shoplifted. Yeah,
Maximum pulse!
Hey, Dad! Someone put this!
Going to overtime.
Stop
that
before she was confronted by asset detection.
Does she have any key?
No, she's saying she still doesn't know where that is. But we also haven't dug through her pockets or anything like that. But I mean, she did shoplift.
No.
So that's where we're at today. Because at the very least, she's getting charged for shoplifting.
Stop that vehicle.
He says okay if you want.
Quantum magic.
Chat.
Thanks for the boost. Things anyway.
Of Sergeant, if
Let's
she
shoot
loses
it.
it.
How nice. They understood. But before making any decisions,
Oh, yo, I fuck with that.
make sure that Walmart is ready with new information.
Hey, can you show us that video again real quick?
Assemble!
I am at your
Again?
And takes the tote.
Oh, shit! It's loaded!
Cosmic might. Thanks for the boost.
Yo, is that Lego set and shit?
Quantum magic.
The dates on today's the what?
Captain Rick? Rick at anything?
Quantum magic.
You're likely to find our enemies here.
Will you reckon you will be on the force?
The moon haunts you!
Healing power.
Only 60 seconds left.
I require some aid. You are safe now, my
I am ready to put on a show.
was a detective, she said, no? A detective? If she was interrogating somebody, right? She should know that this strategy is doing to her. I mean, you'd be a dumbass, one, you're a dumbass. One, you shouldn't be talking. Two, it's massive report, and this doesn't play well for you at all. This isn't... Guy, listen. The judge is gonna see that you were honest, that you were telling, and you would feel bad.
You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
I will bring peace to this universe, no matter the cost. Where there is evil in this universe, I will be there to balance it.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Penny Parker invited me to watch a kaiju movie with her recently. That creature destroying Tokyo. Was it you?
He's so timid.
Your skills
Part of a whole
are much
group
more
of
brilliant.
substances called midazine. And this tiny
The battle starts in 5,
over the
4,
past few years,
3,
these drugs have been claiming
2,
more and more
1.
lives across the EU.
What is
The perfect storm of caused by a political power shift in Afghanistan, changing smuggling laws, and the emergence of
Help get that vehicle to its destination.
sometimes openly available on the phone, and
Just embrace the light.
Feel better already.
Our foe is here.
The Cosmos heals you.
Is it kind of making a drug or is it selling the precursor? None of those numbers.
Quantum magic.
Okay, because sometimes there is some information about this topic.
this is
Sometimes.
a fictional character. And this is his farm, located in the northern Helmand region of Afghanistan. Like many others across the
I have
country,
risen.
He settled a patch of desert. 10 years ago, 3 hectares with
Cosmic
5,000
might returns.
Since then, he's gradually turning his back to land and productive farm
Our success.
I need healing. Water source in the municipality. So we also have
The Cosmos heals you.
that cost $3,600. Instead of relying on he invested another $10,000 in installing a solar array.
Quantum magic.
He even dug a large pond to store the groundwater samples in his crops.
Damn it, never
If you ever see the income Thomas gets Papa.
Healing power.
First name in this technology is
I'm my favorite.
We are undefeatable!
Healing power. What is it? Born again. My cosmic might returns. The Cosmos heals you. Second chances. Subsistence.
Some experts say they're distancing themselves from the trade they previously participated in, as well as others claim that raising prices to promote the product. Either way,
Get that vehicle moving again!
What else will you do? If we survive.
this isn't the first time the Taliban has done this. After securing control of the majority of the country in 2000, they put a similar ban in place, resulting in a 90% reduction in opium.
My time to shine.
They put a similar ban in place, resulting in a 90% reduction in opium use.
We are undefeatable! My time to shine. Long exploding plasma.
Instead, the United States and a year after that, lifted the Taliban's previous record of power, anticipated.
My time to shine. Only 60 seconds left.
Farmers were allowed to harvest and sell their opium before the ban took effect. As a result, the 2022
against the world.
Down to 30 seconds.
is likely helping them get on the phone, so less collapse. All in all, there's probably enough for you to handle at the opiates.
Lights out. Lights on the shot.
Wait.
Just press the light. 5 seconds.
By the way, daylight savings.
Nowhere yet. Going to overtime.
We're out here researching
daylight savings is daylight. We don't care about that thing. That thing is
We are undefeatable. Vehicle reached a checkpoint. Keep up the momentum.
Cathanones. When the heroin supply drops and the user demand stays consistent, organized crime groups
Just keep going.
supply shocks to introduce more profit options. So, we thought it would be to look into this issue.
Lights out. Lights on the shot. Postal, I'm trying to help.
So out there, import supply chains for illicit drugs in Europe, and what are these The main question is, one thing, this time is different. The Afghan copper industry doesn't
I'm back to shed some light.
Ahmed's home province of Helmand is country over half of Afghanistan's poppy cultivation. Lights
on the shot.
Is almost entirely cut off from the state. This time, you might assume that Europe's drug
We are undefeatable! I'm trying to help.
So far, there's no sign of a draft. It shouldn't be a sense of security.
Us against the world!
Rock on,
left.
So when it does, inevitably
My time to shine.
So we asked ourselves, what happens if the situation gets worse?
Wonder how well this stuff burns.
Compared to the US, Europe has a pattern of the first wave of the American epidemic was supply driven. It started when pharmaceutical companies like Oxycontin
Damn it, never fall!
The second
Down to 30 seconds.
the snowballed in third Europe largely avoided the attack through stricter prescription
like a
practices,
star!
stronger, more socially oriented healthcare, better treatment, and home medicine services.
Lights out.
Over 3 decades,
Get in there, y'all.
My time to shine. The final 10 seconds.
it looks like
Get that people moving again.
Assemble!
Nowhere yet. Going to overtime. Watch me so.
It is an entirely different issue that you have no idea about. I'm not It's some American countries like
You can't expect to win them all.
and make the fence, and they fucking swing it one step up, and it goes to the U.S. It's a much bigger problem. It's more possible than all EU not having to deal with this shit. Yeah, they have other routes and other immigrants, maybe, but it's at a less density. Then you're just fucking stupid. They're not.
On the morning of the 17th of
You'll
April
need a top-notch
2013,
team
the
to
journal
win this
Annals of
one.
Mathematics received a curious email. It claimed to contain a 50-page proof relating to one of the oldest unsolved problems in mathematics. A problem that great mathematician Edmund Landau called unattackable. But this proof didn't come from a famous professor, it came from an unknown. Someone who had once spent years working at a Subway restaurant.
So they're like, okay, surely this isn't going to work out, but whatever, you know, we'll send it to a referee.
They expected to find a mistake in an afternoon.
Change humanity.
But they didn't. So they went through it again, closely studying the fragile parts, where a proof like this normally falls apart. But still,
30
nothing.
seconds before you attack.
Soon,
Get
they
ready.
realized they were witnessing a breakthrough.
God damn, he did it.
So, how did he do it? What did the experts miss, and what was the problem he was working on?
Okay.
He was working on a
I'll
new
let
way
you
to
show
attack
me.
one of the hardest unsolved problems in number theory, the twin prime conjecture.
A shield.
The
How
twin
nice.
primes are prime numbers separated by just one number,
The
like
battle
11 and
starts
13,
in
or
4,
17 and 19.
3,
As you go up the
2,
number line, primes
1.
become rarer, and twin
All you
primes
need to do
become
is capture
rarer
the
still.
mission area.
But the
Got
twin
it?
prime conjecture claims that there are infinitely many of them. You never run out. But is it true? Well, one way to approach this problem is to look at the gaps between consecutive primes as you go up the number line. Now, at first, they seem chaotic, but if you average them out, a clear trend emerges. The average gap between two primes grows roughly as the natural logarithm of the number n. So, for example, the average gap between primes around 100 is approximately 4.6. The average gap between primes around 1,000 is 6.9. Logarithms grow very slowly, but they do keep growing forever. So as n approaches infinity, the average gap between primes also goes to infinity, which is not particularly encouraging if you expect to only be able to find primes that are just two apart. But if you start attacking large numbers, then after a million, you quickly find the twin primes 1,037 and 1,039. Past a billion, there's 1,007 and a billion. In fact, we have found a twin prime that's as large as 2,996,863,034,895 times 2 to the power of 1,290,000 plus or minus 1. That is a pair of numbers, each 388,342 digits long. If you wanted to print those in a book for some reason, you would need around 260 pages per number. All of this is to say that as far as we've looked, we've kept finding twin primes. But of course, that is not how you solve the twin prime conjecture, because you cannot physically check all the numbers out to infinity. So we need another way. And around 100 years ago, it felt like mathematicians were getting close with a more sophisticated method. In 1923, English mathematicians Hardy and Littlewood figured out how you can estimate how many twin primes there should be. To do it, they started with one of the counting achievements of number theory, the prime number theorem, which tells you that the odds of a large number near n being prime are roughly 1 over the natural logarithm of n. So let's do a quick example to see how they use this. Say you want to find the odds that 137,037 is prime. Well, you just plug that in and find that it has about an 8.5% chance of being prime. Of course, you could use the same trick to find the odds that 137,039 is prime, which is also around 8.5%. So what are the odds that both of them are prime? Well, you just multiply those odds together. That gives you around a 0.7% chance. Now, we are simplifying a little here because we're assuming that primes are independent. They're not. But putting that to one side, the odds of both a large number n and n plus 2 being prime is 1 over ln n times 1 over ln n plus 2. For large n, the plus 2 is insignificant, so we get the odds of any pair of numbers of size n being a twin prime are roughly 1 over ln n squared. But of course, the problem with this approach is that the odds of a pair being a twin prime decrease as you go through larger numbers. So if you count all twin primes of n, we add up the odds at every single position. In other words, we integrate this expression from the first prime 2 up to that number. Now, Hardy and Littlewood refined this argument further to account for the fact that primes aren't really independent. But all that added is just this correction factor up front. So the final expression looks like this. Now let's plot how many twin primes this predicts up to 1 trillion. We see that it keeps growing, and if we fill in the actual count, you'll notice that it is extremely close. To the point where by 1 trillion, our estimate is only off by 0.001%.
The only issue, though, is that this is just an estimate, or what mathematicians call a heuristic. It can tell you roughly how many twin primes there are, but it can't guarantee that they never stop. As Terry Tauber said, for all we know, there could be this fast conspiracy that every time a number n decides to be prime, it has some secret agreement as a neighbor n plus 2 saying, you're not allowed to be prime anymore. So what we need is a rigorous, airtight mathematical proof. But finding such a proof, it turns out, is extremely difficult.
One of the first mathematicians to verify was a 29-year-old Norwegian named Brun. Brun was working during the early years of the First World War. And with travel disrupted and Europe's mathematical centers largely out of reach, much of his work happened in quiet isolation back in Norway. His goal was to try and prove that the numbers or count of twin primes always increase. And to do this, he took a 2,000-year-old prime counting tool and tried to adapt it for twin primes. Now, the normal version of this tool is called the stiff Eratosthenes, and it works something like this. Say we want to find the primes up to 100. First, we remove 1, because that's not prime. Then we circle the first prime, that is 2, and we remove all of its multiples. We do the same for 3, circle it and remove its multiples. And then repeat that for 5 and 7.
And with these 4 very quick operations, every single number that's left on your 10 by 10 grid is a prime number.
Now, we stopped the sieve at 7, and we could keep going, sieve by 11 or 13, but it turns out that we don't have to. So why is that?
Well, the next prime is 11. So let's check the numbers below 100 that are divisible by 11. 22 is 2 times 11, but since it's divisible by 2, we already caught it. We also have 33, but that is divisible by 3. And a similar logic holds for 55 and 77. But what about 11 times 11? Well, notice that is 121, which is not in our range. So every multiple of 11 below 100 was already caught by a smaller prime. So sieving by 11 would cross out nothing new.
So Eratosthenes has this idea that you only need to sieve out the primes that are at most square root the size of the number.
But there's also a second way to visualize this sieve. Take the number line and let each prime send out a wave with the wavelength equal to the size of that number. So the wave from 2 lands on every second number, and the wave from 3 on every third, and so on. Now, notice that wherever a wave lands, that number has to be composite. But the numbers that escape every preceding wave, well, those have to be primed. And so you end up with this beautiful visualization of the sieve. And both of these methods make it incredibly easy to identify the primes.
But Bren didn't care about which primes were left. He just needed to know how many were left. And to do this, he counted all the numbers that were crossed out and then subtracted this from the total, since whatever is not crossed out must be prime.
So let's use this to find the number of primes below 100. We can keep a running count. So we'll start with 100.
We're going to throw out all the multiples of 2. Well, that's 50 numbers left.
Pick your hero.
Okay? Then we're going to
Or
throw away
villain.
multiples of 3.
I'm not judging.
Well, how many multiples of 3 are there less than 100? 100 divided by 3 is not a whole number. It's like 33 and a third, but we don't throw out fractions. So, okay, forget that stupid little fraction.
We did the same for the multiples of 5 and 7.
So this is with the, I'm assuming, the Pragmata stuff, which has been like one of the most weird and strange crash outs that I've seen in a long time. An emo girl? Yep, I know.
Your souls Your eggs are drying up.
Uh-oh.
If you're a woman online, you have probably heard
30
that many
seconds before
times.
you attack. Yep.
Perhaps
Get
this
ready.
image haunts you at night. It is a true fact that women's fertility
What is it
begins
that
to
you see
decline
here,
at age
Dr.
30,
Richards?
and they suddenly wake up and get what we call baby fever. But what about the men? Do their sperms rot? Do their
I
balls
see.
shrivel up into
Be
little
wary,
raisins
my
and
friend.
die?
They do.
Blind faith in anything,
Men experience
even
reduced
science,
fertility as they
often
gain,
leads to
as they
catastrophic
get older as well.
The battle starts in 5.
It's
Do
just
they
not
wake
as
up one
severe.
day and get
3,
baby fever?
Yes.
Do men have a
1.
biological clock in the same
All you
way
need to do
women
is capture the
I
mission area.
briefly joked
Got
about
it?
this in videos before. In fact,
Yeah, it's just not as much.
a clip of mine from a video I did a few months ago actually went viral recently
Uh-oh.
thanks to the VTuber Smugalana.
Ah,
yes, the male biological clock. It's not physical, but spiritual. Men will deny this, but they absolutely have a biological clock.
Uh-huh.
It may not hit in your teens or your 20s, but one day you're going to have a dream with a little daughter making pancakes with your wife in the morning. And you're not going to be able to get it out of your head. And yet the comments were full of men discussing their dreams to start a family. There is not much discussion about men's desire to have children. Like many things, it's not really something.
Yeah, it's secondary. That's the reason why. Yeah, it's totally secondary. You're right.
Thing they talk about publicly. That was until a certain video game.
I am T-I-03367, a state-of-the-art pragmatic created here at the Cradle. I possess basic life knowledge.
How about we call you
Shut up.
Diana?
Pragmata
There's
is a
still so
sci-fi
much to
action
do.
game where you play as astronaut Hugh Williams, who is sent to investigate an abandoned moon base. He meets a
Yeah.
childlike android named Diana, and they team up to survive and escape the space station. Along the way, they uncover what went wrong and defeat the bad guys, all while forming a strong emotional bond.
That sniper will think twice.
About accurate. Yep, true.
Some assistance. I'm counting on you, kiddo.
You captured
But
more
it
than
seems
half
to
of the
have
mission
awakened
area.
something
Keep
deep
going.
within gamers, especially male gamers. The urge to get married and have kids. I'm not planning on getting married and having kids, but damn, this game is like fatherhood calling to me.
Yeah.
Is this how women feel about their biological
Cosmic
clock?
Knight
This
returns.
game makes me want a daughter. What is this
Oh,
feeling
no.
inside me? It can't be. It's like, I want to protect. It's like, I want to be a dad.
Oh,
They
no.
won me over. The white baby makes me feel paternal. I will burn anyone and anything
white.
that tries to harm her. This
Yeah.
game is
Destiny
dragging out the
awaits.
innate dad instinct.
Uh-huh.
I want to like Pragmata, but I can't, knowing that men are also enjoying it. This is a game
Of course.
for incels.
Uh-huh.
Healing power.
Total mental illness.
Babe, wake up! Time for your yearly gamer culture war slap!
That's right.
2014 forever, man. We
Well,
are
I don't know about daily. I mean,
never
probably
going
more
to
than
escape
that.
Mr. Gamergate's wild ride. In this
Yeah.
video, we are going to discuss the facts and
Stop it.
feelings
Is that
behind
right?
the so-called male biological clock. After we discuss the drama surrounding the game Pragmata, and how a bunch of men expressing a simple, wholesome desire to start a family, has turned into yet another culture war. Yet another gender war. The gender war. Men versus women, women versus men, the male loneliness epidemic, the female loneliness epidemic, dealing with dating apps, hookup culture. Do men like
Not
curvy
good.
or thin women? Do women
There's
like
still so
dad
much to
bods
do.
or fit men? Do they like beards or clean shaven?
It
Oh, yeah.
depends.
That reminds me. Before we get deeper into this video, let's quickly give a shout out to today's sponsor.
How can they be so miserable? Well, it's actually really easy. I think there's a bunch of fat women on the internet don't have any guys talking to them, and probably got groomed whenever they were teenagers, and now they hate on them. That's what happened. That's the way it is.
For the last few decades, razors haven't been designed to work better. They've been designed to be marketed better. More features, more gimmicks, more blades. Said one more blade, girls. One more blade, I promise, for one more blade. While skin irritation is just treated like something you just have to deal with. And a major cause for irritation is blade flex. Because most razors use springs to let the blades move as you shave. That helps them adapt to like different angles, but also causes extra tugging and razor burn. Most people just learn to cope with like
So
aftershave.
I actually did a photo of this. This is June 9th, 2017.
I will leave this universe a better place than it was before I
That's
was
right.
created.
Oh yeah.
30 seconds
Just
before
an
you
average
attack.
day.
Get ready.
The teeth, what the fuck? Yep.
You are
Oh my
Midgard's
god.
goddess of squirrels, are
Al,
you not?
yeah, that's right.
In cold water, fixing the symptoms instead of the cause. The question nobody asks is, should the blade even move? And here's where Henson Shaving comes in. By fully supporting a two-sided blade all across its length, they hold the blade in place, preventing any bouncing or skipping, resulting in an irritation-free shave. No springs, no movement, no need to compensate with pressure. And there's something really satisfying about that. Not just getting a better shave, but finally fixing something that's been quietly annoying you for years. Like when you spend months wondering why you don't feel rested even after you get 8 hours sleep, and then you realize, oh, I need a new mattress. You don't need more aftershave, you need a new razor. And since I switched to Henson, I noticed that my shaves have been smoother than ever. No tugging, no cuts. The best part is once you invest in a new razor, it is a lifetime purchase. The only thing you need to replace are the blades, which cost just 10 cents each. So once you own the razor, you'll only be spending like $3 to $5
I am
per
ready to
year.
put on a
Henson
show.
offers a variety of different colors. I have the rose gold. I think it's so cute. So if you're tired of razor burn and skin irritation and overpaying for replacement blades, Henson Shaving is definitely worth checking out. Just head over to hensonshaving.com/shoe and add both a Henson razor and 100 blades to your cart. Then enter code SHOE at checkout to get the blades for free with your purchase. Big thanks to Henson for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad. Right? Now, let's get back to the video. Throughout history, there have been countless stories centered around a very specific dynamic. The adult protector and a child. You see it everywhere. In video games, they call it a dad simulator. The Walking Dead, The Last of Us, God of War,
Against the world.
Bioshock, Life is Strange, also movies like Logan, Grit, in a way, Monsters Inc., shows like The Mandalorian, literature has done it forever with The Road, Les Miserables, and many others. It shows up time and time again because it taps into something deeply human.
Yeah, it's the reason why it's popular is because a lot of people have kids. Like, I think this one, I mean, like, if you don't understand why this is happening, I feel like there's something wrong with you. Like, you should be able to know this.
Instinct to protect, to guide, to teach, to nurture something more vulnerable than yourself. It is a beautiful and powerful story that has been told for centuries. And you're like a really weird and an introvert for enjoying it. incel game. If you buy this game, I'm gonna assume you are a pedophile. I feel like it's a breach of ethics at this point to design child characters for an audience of majority male gamers. Like, let's stop with the defenseless